Aloha, we are live.
What's up, Charlie? How are you, my man?
I'm doing fine, Brother Mel. Brother Mel, we got an exciting night tonight, huh?
Oh, I think so.
Yeah.
Let me get all right. Here we go. Let me get this thing all fixed up here. All right, everybody, welcome to what we call the COVID-19 discussion with Charlie and Mel. Tonight we got a couple of amazing women from the state legislature, Senator Donna Mercado Kim and Representative uh,
Val
Okimoto.
Okimoto? Yeah.
Val Okimoto, Kauai girl, born and raised on Kauai, graduated Kauai High School. So they'll be popping on. Wanted to come on a little early as usual to make sure the system worked. We had a little glitch. We fixed it, so everything's all good. How was your Easter, Charlie? How was your Easter?
Well, I tell you, it was relaxing. I miss my kids. I miss my grandchildren. Sometimes it gives you a chance to reflect. Gives you a time to just reflect, sit back, relax, and just wondering how the kids are doing. But with this pandemic that's on us right now, it's a little unnerving because you try to plan out. Hopefully you can plan out properly for the future when everything gets back up and running. Yeah. And you want to, I never thought in my lifetime or my children's lifetime that they would have to go through something like this, but it's upon us. So.
Yeah, I know the feeling, man. Here comes Representative Val Okimoto. And we're gonna unmute everybody here. There she is. I'm gonna unmute everybody here. Hi, Representative Okimoto.
Can you hear me?
Now we can.
Yeah, now we can. Yes.
Sorry about that. I have. Hey, how's it?
How you doing?
I'm good. How are you guys?
Doing fine.
Thanks for
inviting
me.
I'm Mel Raposo. That is Mr. Charlie Iona.
Hey, how's it?
How's it?
Thanks for joining us tonight. We're waiting for Senator Mercado Kim to pop in, but
I know she's been busy. The Senate committee hearings are pretty lengthy.
I watched it today. I'm exhausted.
Yeah, I know. I watch it in between my other meetings and my kids, and then I have my staff watching, and they'll text me updates. But I cannot sit there the whole time and watch it. Otherwise, my kids will go crazy.
Yeah, well, I don't have any kids at home. They're both in Oregon, but I cannot sit and watch the whole thing anyway, just because it's frustrating.
It's frustrating. It's
frustrating. Senator Mercado Kim, I saw the frustration in her voice, and Senator De La Cruz. Senator Favela was beside himself. We've invited Senator Favela to come on as well. I haven't heard back from him. I hope he can make it on, but
he's very passionate, that one. I'm passionate too, in a different way. Yeah.
Well, you all are, and you guys are doing a heck of a job, and we appreciate you guys so much for doing what you do and asking the questions, and we'll get into that as soon as Senator Mercado Kim gets on.
No problem.
So how's life on Oahu? Tell us a little bit about yourself. You graduated Kauai High School, my alma mater.
Oh, you went Kauai High too, yeah. My whole family.
A long time ago.
Oh, I don't know. I feel like mine is a long time ago too. I forget how old I am sometimes. Kauai High grad. Then I came over here for school after high school, and then I went to BYU Hawaii in Laie. And after my junior year, I took a break and I did a service mission in the Philippines.
Oh, wow.
And that's probably the turning point of my little career here. But yeah, I did that, and then I finished. I actually have a degree in accounting.
Oh.
And I have a degree in accounting, and I got hired by a local CPA firm before I finished college. And I kind of told them, I think I want to do something more service oriented. So they hired me anyway, but I left after a year, and then I went into special education teaching. So I was a SPED teacher for the DOE for 10 years. Man. Yeah, awesome. different course. I think that service mission really adjusted my view, and that's probably where my passion for serving came in, just helping people out. And
outstanding.
Well, thank you for your service. Your sister was very instrumental with getting you on here tonight. I just saw her pop on.
She texted me last weekend, and I got really busy, and I apologize. So she texted me again. And I said, "Oh, I got to text her. I'm so sorry."
Yeah, well, we do this every night. And I don't know what happened to Senator Mercado Kim. I know she said she wasn't tech savvy, so I'm hoping she's not lost somewhere.
I'm not either,
in,
actually. It's a joke.
in
Whenever
the,
somebody asks me for tech advice, it's kind of a sad day if that happens.
it's very simple. You just click on the link and you popped on. So we'll wait a few minutes. But
Okay, no problem.
anyway, yeah, thank you for your service. Thank you for coming on and joining us. We do this every night. You know, I've been doing a Facebook Live now for well over a year. Um,
That's
I
awesome.
did it every Wednesday. And then after the governor's press conference regarding the travel quarantine and the postponement was going to start in 5 or 6 days, I did a Facebook Live that generated quite a bit of views. And then I realized that there were a lot of people that weren't getting the information. And as you know, there's a lot of different sources of information. So I figured, you know what? I called my good buddy Charlie there, and we said, you know, let's do this every night, and let's pound into our people the necessity of us following the rules, practicing the social distancing and washing our hands and making sure until they get sick and tired of us.
And
But
I
that's
gotta
key.
say, I think your county has been more proactive and a good example in what we needs to be done. And I always, my heart is on Kauai. So whenever I hear something a Kauai doing something positive, I'm very proud. And I think that's stated in the numbers of cases that you guys have. I feel like the rest of the counties have kind of been following the lead of what you guys have been doing over there.
Well, you know, we have a very bold mayor. Mayor Kawakami, you know, took early action and
Yeah.
got criticized for it. But he had a lot of support for it as well. And but you know, thanks to I think his actions, his early actions with the curfew, with the restrictions of movement, you know, I think that has a lot to do with the low numbers. But one of the things we wanted to talk about tonight was about the testing and are we getting the adequate amounts of testing? And I'm hoping that's not the reasons for the low numbers. You know, we want to be positive about this, but we also want to make sure that we're
Right.
cautious.
Yeah.
We just heard a little while ago, Mayor Victorino talking about a possible second cluster on Maui that's not at the hospital. I'm not sure if
Mama's
you
taking
saw
a
that.
hit right now. Yeah. Mama's taking
Yeah.
a hit.
So
Yeah.
you know, this virus is that dangerous. You know, it can spike at any time, and it can uh, come back and reinfect. So that's the thing. We got to be very cautious. You know, we cannot let the low numbers. Uh, we cannot take that for granted. I guess is what I'm trying to
Right.
say, and become complacent because it's still out there, and we just got to track it down and squash it. That's kind of where we at.
And we know that Hawaii tends to be more, lax, relaxed, and the neighbor islands are even more so. But you have to take it seriously once everything starts closing down, and once the schools and the churches and everything's closing down, and realizing what's happening outside of not just our state but worldwide. That's why it's really important for the locals to take it seriously. And I think for the most part, the locals are. Kauai is doing a really good job. I know my community, we take it seriously, but it's hard when the tourists may not feel the same way, or other communities may not see it the same way. So Hawaii is just a warm and welcoming place, but this is something that's unprecedented. We've never had this happen before, not in my lifetime. Mhm.
And it probably won't happen in our lifetimes
Right.
again. I mean,
Hopefully,
I
yeah,
just,
not.
I just had a comment come in that says a new reported cluster in Kona at a fast food restaurant. That just came in from a very
I
reliable
heard that
source.
too.
Oh, you did?
I did hear that. I wasn't sure if it was accurate or not because I was new. I heard that
Yeah. Well,
also though.
the guy that just
15?
posted it, and everybody else can see the comments, so they all know who I'm talking about, but you can't.
Okay.
But
I cannot see ya.
yeah,
Do we
no, no.
see it?
But
No.
we will definitely, if there's any questions, we'll share
Okay.
it. But why don't we start with, since you're here, and I think Senator Mercado Kim either chickened out or she cannot get on.
She
I'll
might
tell you
be
a real quick story about Senator
she might be
Mercado Kim. I
trying.
wanted I wanted to
I
tell
know
the
her.
story
She'll
about.
work hard. She might come on the last week. She's a woman of her word, so she might be
Oh,
trying to
I
get.
know, I know. I'll tell you a real quick story. Probably about 10, 12 years ago, I was the president of the State Association of Counties, and we do our pre-session, pre-legislative session luncheon, and she called me up and she tore me a new one, man. I tell you, and so I was gonna joke about that with her tonight. She probably forgot. I didn't. I got traumatized by that, but many people traumatized by Senator Mercado Kim. But
Yeah, I took a trip with her in November. And that's the first time because she's in the Senate and I'm in the House. And so we never really interacted. But ever since then, we're like legislative sisters. She's such a strong woman. And I think I appreciate her fighting for what she believes in. And I'm like that too, just I guess I deal with it in a different way. But she's too,
she'll be on. I'm sure she'll be on, and we await her arrival. But anyway, you wrote a letter to the governor.
Yes.
And thank you for that. You wrote a letter saying, Governor, please let us isolate our visitors coming in at a specific location. Can you share with us the purpose, the reason, and why you did that?
We had reached the 2-week mark since the governor gave his mandate with the dates and putting on these quarantine restrictions and looking at the numbers. Although the numbers in tourism came down, we knew that there were still cases. And I think the concern for me and my office especially was that once they come in, we don't know what's happening. And somebody like me who, I'm a local kid, I have children in the DOE system. And so everybody has had to sacrifice a lot. We know that our economy has taken a hit with the tourism industry, which is our biggest source of income, being completely shut down, local businesses shutting down, and families having to really sacrifice. And to hear that there's still chances of tourists coming in and not really having a set way to monitor these people. And while everybody's trying their really hardest in the communities to do what's right and self-quarantine and shut everything down, while that's going on, but we can't control what's happening from the outside. And a lot of them are coming from hotspots, Seattle, Vegas, New York, and Florida. We're not sure when they come in what's happening to them. So it was a little frustration because while everybody, here in Hawaii is trying really hard for the most part to follow these mandates so that we can keep our kupuna safe, our community safe, and hopefully get our kids back into school, there wasn't enough structure, I think, in monitoring what's happening with those tourists and intended residents who come into our state. So that was pretty much, the background in having this letter formulated and sent out. We felt like after the 2 weeks, we needed more.
Somebody just posted, look at her Kauai roots using common sense. Isolate all visitors at one way.
Yeah, my mom and dad, they taught me well, man. My parents, we don't mess around in Kauai.
You mentioned intended resident. What the heck is an intended resident?
That's in my letter. It's in quotation marks. What is an intended resident? There are accounts of even homeless people being shipped here. And when they get asked, where are you planning on living? They have no idea. There's no account. There's no, we had nothing to counter that when they came in. What do we do with them? What exactly is an intended resident? If they don't have a specific place to live, then we don't have time for that right now. We cannot afford to have people here who don't have a specific place with a job, and understanding that when they come here, we are all under quarantine right now. We cannot have you wandering our streets while everybody else is sacrificing.
Okay, Senator Mercado Kim is knocking on the door.
Yay!
Oh, there she is.
She there?
Let me make sure she's unmuted here. Nope, she's unmuted. Can you hear us, Senator Mercado Kim?
Hey, Donna. She's trying to get on. Maybe she's having the same problem I had.
Hi, Senator.
Oh.
Uh-oh. Can you unmute yourself, Senator? Uh-oh. I have her unmuted here.
Donna, try click on your thing and see if you can test your audio. I had to do that.
Nope. Did she press the video button? Press the microphone button.
And then the video again.
Bear with us, ladies and gentlemen.
So where are you guys exactly? What part of the island?
Well, I am on the west side, all the way in Waimea.
Oh, Waimea, okay.
Yeah, beautiful Waimea. And I'm a transplant actually from Honolulu.
Okay, we switched places.
Yeah. Born and raised Kalihi, but then moved to Maui.
Oh.
And that's where I did my police career in Maui before moving here to Kauai.
Oh, thank you for your service.
Oh, I enjoyed it. But we're touching earlier on this thing with the hospitals, and why I'm worried is I still have my two older children there, My oldest son had a very severe stroke a couple of years ago. So he's
Oh,
dependent on being close to the hospital, and he lives in Wailuku. Then my son over in Lahaina, he's from very young age, he's a chronic asthmatic. So, I've had my fair share of going up into Marne Memorial a lot. And now with this, I mean, I just was watching the news tonight when a nurse said that Marne Memorial is not a safe place to come because there's a chance you'll catch the virus.
oh wow.
And it's spooky. And that's the only medical facility,
Yeah,
true medical facility on the island.
my heart
So that's
goes
what
out to
yeah.
the employees in the hospital. Every night on the news where they show the first responders and the people sacrifice. I mean, they go out every day. I mean, it's a scary reality that they're exposing themselves to
Yes.
these
Yes.
things, and they're doing it with the best intentions, trying to help the people who are ill and are seeking help so that we can control the spread of it. But yeah, it's alarming. I was wondering too what's going on with Maui and why we can't contain that better.
Yeah.
Is Senator Kim on now?
Yeah. Looks like she's connecting to audio.
Okay, she's hooked up.
Yep.
Gotta get her to unmute herself. Oh, okay, here we go. Another one.
Oh.
No, we have two
Oh,
Senator. Two times. She wants to be on twice. Senator, can you hear us?
Oh no.
I don't know. We cannot hear you. We can see you, but we cannot hear you.
Okay. So.
Can you hear us?
Oh, I should.
Oh my gosh.
I wonder if yeah, I don't know.
Well, I think
okay, it's telling me that she's connecting to audio.
Okay. She can hear us, but probably we can't hear her when she's in that mode.
I was gonna mention when you mentioned I think it was the House today that talked about the testing.
Yes.
And the different viewpoints on.
Okay, I think she's on now.
Oh, is she on?
I think I'm on.
Yes,
I'm very challenged when it comes to these kinds of things.
You have two systems going. You're on two screens.
Try close one of them, Donna. You have two things.
No. She's good right now. Let her be. Don't touch nothing.
I was going to tell you soon, Donna.
Yeah. So just know that you'll be viewed in stereo since you got two going at one time. Okay.
Do I really have two going on?
Oh no, now you're good. No.
It went off.
Okay.
It went off.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was thinking, man, she has a studio in her house where she get multiple camera views. You know, when you're on a Senate, you can do that.
Yeah, I can barely get one camera view. In fact, I was going to do it with no camera. I didn't realize you guys could see me. I didn't,
Yeah, we saw you for a while, Senator. We were watching you for a while.
You're still beautiful as ever, dear. You're still beautiful as ever, Senator.
Oh, you must
welcome.
Thank you so much for joining us, and appreciate you taking your time. We started a little bit discussion on Representative Okimoto's letter to the governor about isolating people at specific sites, so we guarantee that they're not roaming around. We're struggling with that on Kauai, as far as visitors coming in from the airport, heading straight to Walmart or to the stores, and it's very hard to stop. Right. So that's kind of where we ended up. I did say earlier, I watched the hearing today, was very frustrated at times, but I appreciate you asking the tough questions. I think you're asking the questions, both of you ask the questions that everyone here wants to ask. We don't have an opportunity. So thank you both for standing up for the people of Hawaii, and especially for us on Kauai, Thank you.
At least you have a mayor that is decisive and is willing to do things to protect the community. And that's what we need, that kind of leadership. And so I really commend your mayor for doing that.
Like absolutely. You said, sometimes you get criticized. Like he got criticized, but yeah, he did it. And I think sometimes that's lacking in leadership or too much fear.
Well, I'd like to commend your mayor. Today, he let Frederick Mark open up again. So he's decisive about that.
Well, and then he shut down things from 11 p.m. to 5 p.m. I'm not sure, if that's the time you want to shut stuff down. There's nobody doing anything. There's no bars open up. So now he's saying that he's not going to do that again. Hello.
Donna will say more of the thoughts that everybody else wants to say too.
Sorry, I've been doing this too long. I'm
in the legislature.
So we did discuss the isolation site. There's many questions. We get bombarded with questions on a daily basis, like you all do. And I think Charlie will agree that the problem we're having is there's so many different sources of information and misinformation, conflicting information. And in the last couple of weeks, and just today, listening to Bruce Anderson talk about, basically he said, testing doesn't do anything. It's a snapshot in time.
been saying that since day one.
I'm sorry?
I feel like
Been
that's
saying that since day one.
I know, and we've had Lieutenant Governor Green on here. We watched Dr. Miskovich in a lengthy discussion or interview on KITV yesterday talk about the importance of widespread testing and why we need to test and do the contact screening of all close contacts. So we're hearing that. We also heard that there is no shortage of the PPEs and there is no shortage of the testing, according to Dr. Miskovich. He's saying you just got to go out and buy them. He's saying the problem with our private facilities in the States, we're waiting for the federal government to deliver these items from the stockpile, where you can order them and get it here in 2 to 5 days. And of course you got to pay. So what is the reality? What is the reality as far as PPEs, as far as testing? Do we have a shortage?
The reality is we don't have a shortage at this moment. They're anticipating we're going to have a shortage if things continue to multiply, but we don't have it at this moment. So, what do? Do you save everything in case you do, or do you go out, do it, and keep ordering and keep asking for it? I say that's what we should be doing, using what we have. And, you're not going to use every single bit, but, you've got to act now. You can't wait.
I have to agree. And I think the Lieutenant Governor has been really active about that. And there really is no other way for us to know unless they're tested. And things have changed throughout the process of this last 2 weeks, where I went from, we're only going to test you if you're asymptomatic. And unless you have symptoms, and you don't have to worry. Now it's like, you have to worry because you can have it and spread it even if you're asymptomatic. So there is no other way other than, like Senator Kim said, is to utilize what we have. Because if we wait, then we're never going to lessen this curve. We're never going to flatten the curve. And we're never going to get back to the normal lives. Parents, I love my kids, I really do, but they need to go back to school. We need to have businesses open, and really we have to at some point come back to normal life. And it's not going to happen unless we can lessen this curve and then definitely stop any more spread of it. Yeah. So I agree with Senator Kim.
And today, I think I wrote it down, but today, I think it might have been in the House committee meeting that someone said that they're conserving our tests because we're only testing the people that we believe are positive.
Or they have symptoms. You have to have a couple of things. One, you'd have to come into contact with somebody that tested positive, or travel, or have symptoms. And that's what they're using. They don't want it if you don't have symptoms, yet we know that people that are passing the virus is not symptomatic. And right. So how do you catch those that aren't, and you may not catch them, but that's just the way it is, right? You have to do everything you can. As General Hara said, we're fighting an enemy that will attack you from the right, will attack you from the left, will attack you from the behind. And so you have to use everything in your arsenal to be able to fight this enemy. And so we're not using everything that we have.
Well, I mentioned this on another interview that we had. And this is when I was at the medical examiner's office in Honolulu with Conti Diawes. And I remember we talked, and this was like back in 2003. And I remember vividly how we talked about the type of equipment we would need if there was to ever a pandemic was to break out, what we'd be prepared for. And I always felt this go around, and I asked the lieutenant governor this. It almost appears. I mean, we know a population base of each county, so that's a good starting reference right there. But it almost appeared as if the state got caught flat-footed when this thing broke out. It was like, I don't know. And again, this all goes back to the messaging, what message they're putting out there. And it almost seems as if the message was, oh, we expected just this tiny bit, but it's really like this. Mm-hmm. And I said, how can that be? Because I know when you talk about a pandemic, you're not talking about a location, just a location. You're talking about a widespread locations. And so I was kind of wondering, and I think the way people feel, and I'm glad both of you are on, that a lot of the questions we get, or just the comments, it feels like people are frustrated because common sense dictates that when they hear something, they gravitate to that. Then several days later, the thing changes and they go, wait a minute, I heard something else now. So now it goes back and forth. They're continually questioning back and forth.
I think
I beg your pardon?
No, I think it's fair to say that everybody was caught, off guard, and what you mentioned, flat-footed, and it's a pandemic that's worldwide. And there really is, I think it was Chief Ballard that said today, there's no textbook. We didn't have a textbook to prepare us for this, but it's really when this happened, how we react to it, that is going to testify to how we can come out of this positively. Because I will say, I don't know if anybody anticipated something like this. Like I mentioned earlier, I've never seen it where we shut down our whole, economy for something like this. And hopefully we'll never have to see it again. But
well, one question I did pose was, we shut down the economy. Mm-hmm. I always felt, though, again, it's just me, maybe my thinking is like way too out of the box. But I said, hey, if you're going to shut down the economy, we should be working in a two-pronged approach, because we're going to have to reopen it one day. Right. Instead of one going ahead of the other, now we're playing this catch up. Like if we open up, I said, okay, if this business don't stay open, you won't have that generated funds to come back into the coffers to get this side started, So it's, robbing Peter to pay Paul type of thing. It's kind of like off balance. And that's how I view it.
Having that foresight to envision how you can come out of it. You're right.
Well, there's a lot of businesses that's not going to come out of it. There's a lot of businesses that are already closed down and cannot sustain itself, these small businesses. And that's really sad. Mm-hmm. Life is going to change for us after this. And I'm hoping that it will be for the better. But I feel for all of the people, all of the businesses and the employees. And that's why I get so emotional and frustrated during these briefings with the administration when I see that they're not acting fast enough. They're not using a lot of common sense as to how do we deal with this thing quickly so we can get back and recover from this. And they taking their time. It's how long do we have to be doing this before they realize that we need to act quickly? For example, when we put in the 14-day quarantine, which is something that we recommended, our committee recommended, I personally found out that they were doing it in China, they were doing it in Hong Kong and Singapore. And so we finally get the governor to agree, and he waits 5 days before he puts it into effect. And then he doesn't include the neighbor islands, which is something we said you should do the neighbor islands as well. And so that doesn't come on board to another 10 days. In the meantime, Molokai, which had no cases, ends up with a case and then two. And so, it's just not going quicker than we would like it to go. So I'm not sure how we deal with that.
I think today you said it best. You said that you asked the chief of staff, do you know that the public watches these meetings? Do you know that the public watches these meetings and they remembered what you told us last week and the week before? And all we keep getting is excuse after excuse after excuse. I mean, profound. And I don't think she got it, or she's just thicker skin than it appears. But that's exactly how I feel. And I think many people feel is that we here, we don't, I try to tune in every day if I can. And I hear something from a week ago or 2 weeks ago, I take it as gospel. And then I hear the same question today and the same response as 2 weeks or 3 weeks ago. And it gets very, very, very frustrating. And I think, you touched on that today. But I still, I'll take that back to the governor. I'll take it back to the governor. I heard that a bunch of times today. Oh, I didn't know that. Okay, I'll take that back to the governor. And I sense the frustration in your committee's voices. But I mean, at what point, yes, our numbers are low. Yes, after Iniki, we had a lot of businesses that never reopened.
Mhm.
And it's a totally different type of disaster. But nonetheless, we lost a lot of small businesses that really couldn't absorb the time that the recovery process took. Some came back stronger. This one has impacted way more small businesses. Way more small businesses are not going to be able to reopen, and that's going to leave the state in a major trouble spot because revenues, tax revenues, jobs, all of these things, that's going to really affect everyone in this state. And I just don't sense the urgency in our leadership at the governor's office.
And that's the thing that concerns me, is because you would think that they would be watching our hearings or our briefings and listening to what the directors are telling us, because the directors are telling us one thing, and then the administration or the chief of staff is telling us another thing, and then they don't often coordinate with each other, and we don't know what the right hand is telling. They don't know what the right hand is telling the left hand. For a good example, when they decided to stop the cruise ships, which again is something our committee pushed for, do not let passengers disembark, and they finally made that decision after it took a while. They said, we're not going to let anybody disembark. So what do they do shortly after that? They allow the Norwegian Jewel to come in. They allow them to put all these passengers on buses and put them to the airport when the ship wasn't even supposed to come in, after they told the public they weren't going to allow this. So the credibility isn't there as well. So they even make a decision. When they finally get there, they don't hang on to what their decision is, because they said that's the humane thing to do. What about the humane thing when local people start dying?
Right. And I think the issue also with the right now, the decisions that are the lack of decisions that are not being made from the leadership is that it trickles outside of our state. So I even have friends from the mainland emailing me saying, hey, you know what? The airfares right now are so low, and we may never have a chance to bring my family over again. Should we come? So the messaging from the outside of our state is, you know what? They think of Hawaii as Hawaii. They don't realize all that's happening here with us. And because we haven't yet, made bold public stances on what we will accept and what we won't, it's still being promoted. Come to Hawaii. Look at how low the airfares are. You can get an amazing view. And I'm emailing my friends, they do not come. People here are suffering, and we're trying to everything we can to protect the health of our people. But because there hasn't been, like Senator Kim said, strong decision making, we don't get those things. We're not, people outside of our state don't know what we're doing, what we're sacrificing. We're not how we're fighting here to protect our state.
Well, we have this problem as well that I think when it was proposed for the quarantine, I think the messaging, again, I always believe in branding, messaging, whatever, product you have to sell, you make sure you brand it right so it picks up and it sells. So one of the things was quarantine, okay? Common folk like myself, we think of quarantine like when you bring your animals from the mainland. You put them in on quarantine, you leave them there, right? Your dog or your cat doesn't have a chance to roam around, go infect any other animal in the state. It stays right in that quarantine. So that's why when we started this quarantine process, I said, hey, you come off the plane, I'm going to tell you I'm going over here, but nobody going to follow up if I went there or not. So Kauai gets the first few arrests because they didn't follow the rules. Yep. And so right at that point, I think there was a lot of loss of confidence already. It was like, why aren't we calling this isolation? Because I know when I've had family members at the hospital that was isolated, especially when they were going on the treatment, when they were using these radioactive isotopes, they couldn't mingle with the other patients, had to stay in a room that was specially made for them, and they stayed there during the entire treatment. Why did, I'm just curious why the administration, and maybe one of you can answer this, why didn't the administration want to go for something like that? That would have saved a lot of problems, especially if you're talking about saving your resources. Because right now, it's you have this game going on between a cat and mouse. You let them out, the police got to go play hide and seek and go try to find where these people are at. And you're wasting a lot of precious resources doing that.
Well, the reason for that, and I can answer that, the reason for that is when we proposed the 14-day, they weren't in favor of it. Airports was not in favor. Ford Fujigami said, we're going to be the only state in the union that is doing this. And we said, so let's be a leader. Department of Health didn't want to do it. Dr. Anderson said, you mean to tell me when my daughter comes in, she has to be quarantined for 14 days? We said, yes. And so it was General Hara that finally said, yes, if we can stop at least 30% of the people from coming. So I said, I know they said, we don't have the facilities, we don't have the manpower, we can't quarantine them in one particular place. I said, okay, let's do it voluntary. At least it'll stop a good portion of people from coming. If they don't have 14 days, then send them back. If they don't have a place to stay, send them back so we can manage it. So, we knew we didn't have the resources, but we wanted to put things in place as soon as possible and not wait until we got someplace we can put them, not wait until we can get stuff. So now that it's running and we only have to deal with like 100 visitors, it's much more manageable now. So you would think that they would start to be implementing enforcement, implementing confirmation, but they're not. They're not confirming. If you come off the plane and say, I intend to be a resident, they let you go. I intend to live here, even though you don't have a place. Resident, yeah. So that's all you have to say. And they won't even check the address that you're giving them. They won't check if it's an Airbnb or if it's a vacation rental, which it shouldn't be. But they're not making that attempt to do that. So they're not making it hard on the visitors, and they're not getting the message out to keep them from coming. You don't have a 14-day reservation, then you get back on the plane and you go back.
I think after the 2 weeks, you're right. I feel like people aren't taking, maybe even less serious now. I heard a account today on social media that 2 tourists came in and are on Facebook or social media flaunting the things that they've been doing, how they're touring the island. And I think it's on Oahu, Donna.
There's nobody around.
Nobody's around, and they're not getting caught. And so I was glad. I thought it was ironic that the Kauai people again caught the 2 that were gallivanting all over the island. But still, I feel like people are not taking this seriously. While the rest of us, again, it's been more than 2 weeks for many of us are doing our best to, as residents, to do what we can to stop this. So I agree.
Yeah, so we spent over about $65,000 for this app. I think you heard that today, Mel, in our meeting. They have this app that they can download. Well, it's not mandatory. It doesn't track them where they're at. It's not doing what we want them to do. And yet we went and contracted this app, and it's not doing what we needed to do. So I'm not sure what's happening there. It's very frustrating.
The app is no different than the paper.
Exactly.
It's the same thing. It's not a tracker.
You know what? The difference is, Mel, wait, the difference is you don't have to have a body there. So now they
That's right. That's right.
An app.
And the difference, it costs the state $65,000.
And then some, because now they're trying to put it on your phone. Now they're trying to do tracking. So they're going to cost us even more money while people checks are not coming in.
I tell you what Kauai did. They put a checkpoint right outside the only exit. They blocked the second exit of the airport. They put the cops at the exit. Everybody got to go through that checkpoint. And they make those guys fill another paper out. And that information goes into the system. So they're a lot easier to track. Now, obviously, we cannot put eyes on these guys 24/7, but it's much easier because we have the data, we know, and the officers can make a check randomly to make sure they're in the house. But again, too many are slipping through the cracks. Now, I just want to say,
people coming
because I kind of want to go to the second point which you brought up today. Where I tell you, it was fun to watch. Only because I'm not sitting on that table. But when the governor says, we'll get there. You guys gonna blow your mind. That's why I told people when I posted this, fasten your seat belts because this one is gonna go. But when the governor made his announcement, the press conference about the quarantine, and he was gonna wait 5 or 6 days or whatever it was very evident to me that his concern for the visitors, the tourists, was higher than his concern for the people. I really believe that he didn't put enough importance in this virus. He didn't treat it with the respect that this virus deserved back then, because he was concerned about a visitor coming off the plane only to find out that he has to go to quarantine. That was his
they
concern.
could accommodate for their trips that they had scheduled. I thought, why are
That
we?
was his concern.
Yeah.
Like I said that day when I opened up because I knew there was going to be the quarantine. I was very happy because we had been pushing for this for a while. When he said it was going to be effect next week, Thursday, whatever it was,
yeah,
I did my Facebook Live. I said, I felt like I got kicked in the nuts. I felt like I got kicked in the nuts right there, because what are you talking about? Now that gets to my next question, which you guys discussed today, the letter to the president.
God.
Okay, we spoke to the FAA. I think he called the FFA, the Future Farmers of America.
Future Farmers of America. That's what he called.
And the farmer answered the phone and said, "Hey, we cannot control airplanes." The question was never about the FAA. The question was about the president. You made that so clear today, Senator. I mean, I don't know how much more clear you could get. But again, the response was, "I'll take that back to the governor." But
Mel, I did this. I made it as clear last week when we talked to the chief of staff, Linda Takayama. We told her that, and she said the same thing. Oh, I'll take it back to the governor. And
is the governor here?
We can't close the airports.
So why don't you think? Because his explanation is so ridiculous that it'll be hard to enforce. What's hard to enforce? You're not going to have any planes coming in, and it's going to be difficult to implement. Why would he not want to have his staff draft a letter? He signed the letter and send it off to the White House, and if it comes back with a no, he did his job. You made it so clear. Just ask. Why? Why you think the hesitation?
I don't know, but you remember when Senator Favela said, for him to ask for stuff, and she says, oh, it's because he has a relationship, and we have this good relationship, and we don't want to ruin it by demanding stuff. And Senator Favela said, we're not asking him to demand, we're just asking him to request and to ask and send the letter out, which is exactly what we're doing. Fight for your constituents, fight for the people of the state of Hawaii, which is what I do every day, is fight for my constituents. And sometimes I like guy, but you know what? I got to fight for the people.
And thank you. She used the term burning bridges, and Favela almost blew himself out of that chair. Even with the mask on, he went nuts, like, I'm not asking you for burn the bridges. We're just saying to ask. I mean, so I don't understand the hesitation to just send a letter off. You know this, you get constituent letters all the time. A lot of times you know what the answer is going to be, but as a legislator, you have a constituent, you're going to submit the letter, whether it's to the mayor, to the governor, whatever, you're going to send it on behalf of the constituent.
Right. I'm going to sign the bill. I'm going to introduce the bill, even though I know I'm going to die, because your constituent wants you to do that.
So that baffles me. And when I heard him say on 2 different press conferences that he thinks it'll be a waste of time, that really set me off. Like, how much time, number one, how much time, you're not going to write that letter, your staff will. It takes you probably, David, he gave not much letters to sign. You're talking about 15, 20 seconds of your time. That's not waste when you're just asking for something that's going to protect the people of Hawaii.
Just get a copy of the mayor's letter and copy it and send it out. So even RIMPAC, he's dragging his feet on RIMPAC. We can't understand what it is, why. I mean, the chief of staff today said, oh, because, security is important, our military, yes, they are important. But right now we need to take care of this pandemic. And so we need to cancel it. But he won't do that either.
I've had messages about that too, about RIMPAC. And I think, like Senator Kim, it's very frustrating. And when it comes down to it, we owe our services to our constituents. And so whether we agree with it or not, if it's coming from the constituents, it's our due diligence as elected officials to take the steps necessary.
And
if
we
it's
should,
a letter, then it's a letter. If it's a phone call, it's a phone call. Right.
and we need to protect our military. Our we don't want them to get the virus as well. So they're going to be exposed.
Well, if you take again, this is Charlie. You want to say it's all about messaging. You got an aircraft carrier that has over 500 sailors tested positive, and you want to bring sailors over here. So my question is, are they going to be tested first, or they just say, "Hey, you go there, you're in the middle ocean, don't worry"? I mean, that's a feeling I get. Like there's no cares in the world. You don't have a pandemic going on, and then you have basically multiple clusters just on one aircraft carrier when there's multiple ships coming in to participate in this.
Mm-hmm.
So you're telling me that every single one of there is no way, not one of those sailors, the couple thousand sailors that's participating, you cannot tell me that not one of them has the virus. I cannot believe that. It's hard pressed not to believe that statement there. So I think those are the kind of things that, when you sit back and, like us, we're sort of like Monday night quarterbacks. We're leaving the professionals like the representative, senator. You folks do the fighting, and we're sitting back and we just picking where our battle's going to be because we can see where all the pukas are happening. And it's really simplified reasoning if you take it from a simple approach.
It's common sense, like you mentioned. It's common sense.
And my thinking is the gist of it. These chief of staff, they've been given a lot of power. It's almost as if they're running the state, and the governor is someplace, and he says, "Well, take 2 aspirin, call me in the morning," type of thing.
And what's is the chief of staff is intercepting all of the requests that we're making, intercepting the reports and not giving it back to us, and then claims that she didn't get it or she doesn't know where it is. And then when we ask her for questions directly, they don't get back to us. I had to ask the question again today. Gov, can we get an update on RIMPAC? Can we get an update on the governor signing the letter? Because we asked that last week and we never got a response like, no, I'm not going to do it. No, doesn't even respond. So we have no idea what the status is.
Representative Okimoto,
yes.
What do you think will happen with the letter regarding I heard General Hara mention it this morning. It was so funny. He came on and he said, before I go on, I want to make this statement about where are you guys getting all this information about testing and so forth and so forth. And Scott Psyche said, hey, we discussed this in our task force meeting. We discussed this. And General Hara said, well, you guys got to come talk to us. You guys got to let us know what you guys talk about. And he said, well, Bruce Anderson is there at every single meeting. I'm assuming that it gets back to him.
Right.
I mean, back to the governor, but that's not happening. But what do you think? I heard him talk a little bit about it. They keep saying, yeah, that's a great idea. I don't think logistically it's that difficult.
I don't think so either. And from what some of the things I've heard, and of course, General Hara was selected for this position for a reason. I think we're on the same page. It's not a hard fix. Just when they come in, they go to a specific place and they don't leave. We don't let them go someplace else. We like you mentioned, Charlie, we put them in a quarantine place. And I feel like, I'm not sure if there's, hidden messages in the communication, because I don't know the logistics of what happens outside of, my office. But I think it would be an easy fix, just like stated in the letter I wrote to him. What General Hara is asking or suggesting is we put them in one place for those 14 days. If they're going to come here, they know that they will be put in one place. And maybe that will lessen the attraction of coming here at this time. And unfortunately, although I'm a huge supporter of tourism, I'm on the tourism committee. This is not the time to be visiting Hawaii. But unless we make those changes, and like you mentioned, Mel, it's not a hard fix. We can do it. Unless we do those changes, it's not gonna make any difference.
I think what Mel is saying though is that General Hara is saying, where are we getting our information from? And we try to be transparent, and so we televise, we go live on all our meetings. So everything that is told to us, the public knows about. So when Dr. Anderson and when the department heads come, somebody should be listening in from the governor's office, or
right.
Somebody from Hara's office should be listening in and taking notes. I have
taking it back to them. You're right.
Yeah, and we do reports.
I think it might be, and maybe they just don't want to hear it. I don't know.
No, I think it's like, when you are preparing for a debate, and the night before you have somebody work with you and tell you, okay, prepare because probably these are the questions they're going to ask you tomorrow. I think his attitude is, nah, I got it. And then he get caught with his pants down when he goes in front of you folks. And things are always like, because we know when something's wrong. And I know Mel gonna get mad at me, but we know when something's wrong, because this is the key word we listen for. When we hear that, we know something's wrong already.
There's a lot of
yeah, that's a dead giveaway right there.
I'll bring it up with the governor. I'll bring it up with the governor.
Yeah, you know, it's I wish it wasn't so serious. You know, we Charlie and I, we make light of a lot of stuff. We're former cops, so we know, we look at things a little differently. We use humor as a way. By the way, Wednesday we get Augie T, guys. Augie T gonna be on for kind of flatten our curves. And by the way, ladies, you guys gotta stay on until we pow, because you can see us flatten the curve. It's gonna be pretty cool. But anyway, yeah. So Augie will be here Wednesday. Tomorrow night we get Ikaika Anderson to talk about Honolulu. That'll be fun as well.
You ask him, why aren't they paving our roads when there's no cars on the street? We have the worst roads in Honolulu. Why aren't they paving the streets?
I was gonna say that too.
Well, why don't you tune in, Senator? Why don't you tune in tomorrow night and you can I didn't put you on with him. How's that? You know, cool.
No, I can't control myself.
They're too busy working on Sherwood Forest. That's why.
We have the worst streets.
Hey, Charlie, you told me not to stray. Okay.
Okay. Yeah, not to stray.
I know we got a few more minutes. We go to an hour. We usually do this an hour, but man, I'll stay on as long as you guys want to. But anyway, a couple other things. Harbors versus airports. We cannot stop the ship, but we can stop the passengers. Huh?
You heard today. I brought that up today, right?
Yes, and that's why I made my notes, but I didn't tell you what I was going to ask. No, but why can't we do the same with airplanes?
I think the difference is with the cruise ship, they let them off and then they get back on board. With a plane, you have a reservation. And this is just common sense now. Nobody told me this. You have a reservation, you get off, you don't have another way. The plane doesn't turn around and you stay on the same plane and keep going wherever you're going. So
what they can now though. Now they can, because those flights are empty. These planes are completely empty. They're flying back with a lot of empty seats. So I'm saying, hey, you know what? If you're an essential traveler, you get off. If not, you're not coming in. I just trying to figure out the legality, or we can do it on a ship, but we cannot do it with a plane. I don't understand the difference.
Again, I think the fact that you're a resident on that ship for that period of time, that we can leave you on there, whereas on the airplane, you're only there from point A to point B, and then you have to get off and get back on for your reservation. I agree with you. We should put them right back on the plane, even if we have to pay for them, because I'd rather pay that.
Cheaper to do that.
Them.
Yeah, it's cheaper to do that.
Right.
And I agree. I think we just do it when they come in. We take care of them, send them back, or make sure that they're here. I wanna make a quick plug before your hour's up on my schools. If I can segue really quickly,
sure,
because
go ahead.
As a former DOE teacher and as a mommy of 2 kids in the school system, I want to just thank the DOE. I think out of all the craziness that has come out of this, I will say, I think the teachers and the schools have done an excellent job, and it tests to what teachers do and how they live. But my girls, these teachers are working extra hard. The DOE has this grab and go meal program, and I think while everything else is kind of going all over the place in our government and in our with the communities, we have our DOE system, and it's not perfect, but the teachers are working so hard. They're working hard to get the schools either virtually classes online, or my kids have resources that are teachers sending messages. And I just want to thank the teachers out there, not just because I was one, because I'm just grateful that during this time when everything is chaotic, my kids can know that their teachers care about them and that the DOE hasn't forgotten them.
I join you in that, Val, because I think they've done a wonderful job. I also have to say, I'm critical of UH a lot, but they also stepped up and they're doing, quite a job in getting their classes online as well. And also we request that they look at the fees, because students are requesting to have their fees returned because it's not being used. And that's something they said they just finally finalized. So I'm waiting to get that report. But I have to say that DOE has done a wonderful job.
Yeah, that's a highlight, I think, out of all of this. One of the highlights.
I think a lot of our professionals, teachers, absolutely. Our love goes out to all of them, and I would love to get our superintendent on. I invited our Kauai superintendent and a deputy superintendent. Scheduling just not working, but if if you get the ins with the state superintendent, what's her name?
Oh, Dr. Kishimoto?
Yeah, Kishimoto.
Oh, I'd love to come on with her. I'll talk to her.
Please, because I tell you what, we get a lot of questions about testing, about traveling, about stopping the flights, blah, blah, blah. But we get a lot of questions about the schools, the DOE. That DOE website is tough to navigate through, like many of the state sites. But if we could get her on, that would be so helpful for people, and understand this thing will be seen by thousands and thousands of people throughout the state, and a lot of people have questions about the DOE, and we would love to have her on.
Promise, but I know that she cares a lot. I've interacted with her. I've called her. She's come and helped me out in other situations. I can ask her and see, but I know she's busy. I know her heart is in for our kids, though. I know that much. So
yeah, I would love to have the both of you on.
Her busy schedule.
And then Senator Kim, if you could get Bruce Anderson on, I'll let Charlie do that one by himself. I won't.
I am not going to help in that because
Okay, I'm sorry. I got the rice cooking right now. I'll be right back.
Do you have some for me?
Yeah.
Cross training of employees to help with the unemployment insurance fiasco. We're getting a lot of complaints. And understand, I'm not criticizing the workers because they have been dumped on. I'm not criticizing them by any stretch. I know that I have had friends applied. They get a letter that says you're denied. And then when they finally get through, the person on the phone tells them, oh, you can disregard that letter because that's an automatically generated letter that doesn't apply during these times. The stress that it puts on. But yes. I heard you talking about and then it was you and Donovan talking about the transferring of these employees from other departments. You even offered it was maybe Senator Kidani offering the Senate staff to go help.
We offered 40 individuals a couple weeks ago.
But that was nice that you guys did that, Donna. The Senate offered that. It's unfortunate that it wasn't, they didn't take advantage of that. It's too bad.
That's what I don't understand. To the lay people, the solutions are right in front of their eyes. Right. They have a lot of smart people like you folks that have trying to guide them, and it just seems like no one's listening. It just seems that's my objective view of this. Yes, I'm like you, Senator Kim, very critical of government inefficiency, so forth. But at the end of the day, you got to do the right thing. We should have learned from the other countries. It's not like it started in Hawaii. That I don't buy that excuse.
Right.
It didn't start here.
Right.
So we have a lot of roadmaps to follow.
Yeah, Washington State put together their whole roadmap and sent it to us, and Dr. Anderson them didn't even look at it when we questioned them on it. But let me just add this, Mel, while I can, is I wanted to talk about those group of employees that are in category 3, non-essential workers that are at home and is not working. It's not their fault. It's not their fault that they're at home and they can't do their jobs. But these are the individuals that we believe should be deployed. And, not only is the administration not listening, is they're not using common sense to say, okay, we have people on the payroll while we have people out of work, no jobs, no money coming in. How can we help them with the employment? How can we take our workforce that is not able to do their work to help out in these areas? And these people are many of them are college graduates, have degrees. They can do the work, they can be retrained. And we're told the training is 4 hours. Training is 4 hours. You can do that in an afternoon. So we really believe that we have these resources and it's just not being utilized. Why? I don't know. I cannot for the life of me understand why not.
Well, I'll take that back to the governor.
And the union told us, like you said, if we started this even a week ago, we would have had so many people trained by now. That would have been.
We brought it up a week ago. We brought it up.
You did. I know. Exactly. If they have even taken
the list today, he only sent the list in today. I know. I don't understand. And he didn't just send in the list of people that are being deployed. He sent in the entire state list. That's why it took him so long to put it together. I don't understand why he would do that. But that's why I should. on these live things because I can't help myself.
A
Can I bribe you
question.
guys can I bribe you guys for stay on another 15 minutes, and then Charlie will cook for you guys when he's on Oahu?
Shoot.
Yeah,
Yeah.
only if you cook dinner for me. I didn't eat yet.
Oh,
I
okay.
Kate and I can eat, you know, me and Donna can eat.
Wow. But,
For your-
you know,
Charlie.
I have a question. You know, because we have this pandemic, on a serious note, we have this pandemic. Has it ever been discussed in case we had a back-to-back pandemic was to break out? I mean, is that even being thought
Nope.
of?
I think we're trying to just get through this one right now. We haven't even done that well. Yeah.
They don't even know what's going to happen past April 30th.
Mhm.
And that's what we brought up today. You know, the renters are being protected from evictions till April 30th. And I said, nobody knows what's going to happen after April 30th. That's only a couple weeks away. We better start letting them know. So how can we plan for another epidemic when we can't even plan for this one, Charlie?
Well,
So,
you know, I say this because, like anything else, I think the learning curve on when we already see some mistakes, and I'm pretty sure the after action report will detail what all the mistakes are. But something like this, I wouldn't want to think outside of the box. I mean, if it doesn't happen, we're safe, right? If it doesn't happen. But what if it does happen? I mean, this seems so horrific in a sense. And yet, you said it several times, Senator, you know, and you as well, Representative, that if they just use common sense, we can navigate those waters. And see, that seems to be a problem.
and it's not just another pandemic. It's, we can have a relapse. We can feel that, okay, everybody's, you know, on a road to recovery and relax everything and go right back again. So that's possible.
I read the report from both Korea and Hong Kong. And one doctor in Hong Kong had said that the problem that they're experiencing is that when the people went back, they did a back-to-back testing, 2 tests within 24 hours.
Wow.
And what bothered me about that is I have security personnel that has to work in hospitals. And the hospitals that I have the contract for requires that personnel get TB tested, not once, but twice a week apart. So after you take the reading for the first one, you have to take another test and come back for the next reading. So, you know, for here locally, a TB test, you're actually talking 2 weeks to determine to eliminate any false positive readings, right? But this one, they're talking about, they got 111 cases of reoccurrence from the same people who recovered. So the thing that what I don't know is, were they reinfected or was it a reinsurgence from hidden within cells within themselves if the virus starting to act up again? So those are the kind of things that would kind of frighten me right now.
And I think, you know, that's something also, we're not even sure because we don't know, we don't have a vaccine. I mean, some people are thinking that once you get it, that's it, you won't get it again. But obviously that's not the case. And there's so many unknown factors with this virus that it's hard to anticipate, but you cannot take it lightly. I was going to say, when you asked that question earlier about Mel, you mentioned Iniki, and in my young life on Kauai, I went through the 2 hurricanes. Iniki was I'm dating myself, but my senior year in high school. And I feel like sometimes we have short-term memory, maybe. I mean, that was, you know, a few decades ago, but we should, like Donna said, we cannot forget this because we need to be better prepared. You know, when Iniki hit, it was devastating for me as a senior. So my heart goes out to these seniors who are not going to have a graduation, but we were able to recover before the school year ended, whereas these kids are not going to have that. But I think we have to do a better job.
Dating you, huh, Mel? That dates her. She was a senior in high school. What does that say about the rest of us?
Jeez, antiques. So you graduated in 83.
No.
92.
Well, it was the beginning of the senior year. So,
yeah.
Oh gosh, you guys I'm really old. 93 was my senior year. So
Iniki
started in 92, but so by the time the year ended, we had gone back to school. But in the beginning, everything was closed down, you know, everything was shut down. However, it wasn't statewide and it wasn't worldwide. It wasn't a pandemic, but it was pretty devastating for the Kauai economy. We didn't have anything.
Oh,
Hey,
well,
Mel, right? Mel, right now, you and I both qualify for AARP. So that kind of tells our age, brother.
Hey, I've been an active member for a long time, sir.
I'm not commenting on that.
Book your travel, your rental cars and your travel after this thing is over through AARP. You save yourself some money. Okay, because we're talking about testing and all of that, there is so much confusion about testing. And we all told how many positives, how many hospitalized, how many recovered, and all of this stuff. What we are not being told consistently, and we get told, oh, the numbers come all kind of ways, but how many tests are given? How many tests have been given on Kauai? How many tests have been given on Oahu? How many tests have been given on Maui? Do we even know?
15,000. The last count we heard was 15,000. What did she
They
tell
have
us?
it rated by the islands or the counties.
I'm sorry. No, she didn't give us the breakdown, but we were told today that there were 16,000 that, let's see. No, I'm sorry, 19,213 tests. And of that, 18,600 were negative. That's what Linda Takayama told us today.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out how many on Kauai. I had one of our Kauai residents had some symptoms, went to the doctor, they gave him antibiotics, said she had bronchitis and sent her home. Didn't even get tested. And that is my fear, because they're so concerned about inventory that they're conserving this. That person, I think, should have been tested, but she wasn't. And that's a concern. And that's why I don't really trust our numbers, because we're not doing the widespread testing.
Also, the how long it takes to get the results back is another concern. That's very inconsistent. Some are taking weeks, and in that time we don't know what's happening with those people and weeks. Like that one unfortunate case where the mom didn't know and her son has been in, critical care on the respirator, and she didn't know. She's tested positive, because every week we're changing how you can get affected by this, or it's the testing needs to be, the results have to come back more consistently.
When we had 5,000 tests and we had only 200 cases, we had 1,500 tests that didn't come back yet. So we asked Dr. Anderson, I asked him, of the 1,500, what percentage can you expect to come back positive? Because, we don't do those percentages. We don't have that. And then it kept going up, because you have all these tests that were taken and you don't know which ones are positive. So it's not even new tests. It's tests that we haven't gotten the results for.
Right.
Well, like he said today, was it today or yesterday? I think it was today, that the tests are not important. There's really nothing. The test does nothing for us. He's trying to, I see what they're doing. They're trying to showcase the governor's 14-day mandatory quarantine as being the saving grace, but we all know that's not the case. We all know that the more you test, the more positives you're gonna find. And I know the argument is there's a lot of people that had the virus and the virus came and went and they never got symptoms. I don't want to listen to all of that nonsense. It's the bottom line is this: if you're a carrier, you should be identified.
Exactly.
If you test positive and you went out and about, if you came back from the mainland and you didn't quarantine, you went out and about, that we should know. This is Charlie's pet peeve. We should know where you are. Now we get this Maui second cluster. Well, they number one, they don't know if it's true. If it is, I cannot disclose. The mayor says we cannot disclose the location. No, really. Can you imagine? Can you imagine? Okay, imagine. The mayor comes out, any mayor comes out and says, "Gosh, we had 2 shark attacks today.
We cannot tell where.
But we cannot. I'm not at liberty to tell you where." That it sounds so weird, but it's the truth. Why would you not say? Why would you not say?
They can say. I don't know why they cannot say. But Mel, I got to contradict on one thing. When you say that Dr. Anderson is trying to uphold the governor's 14-day quarantine, first of all, they didn't want to do it. Dr. Anderson didn't want to do it. The governor didn't want to do it. So I don't know if they're trying to uphold the 14-day, but they were never on board for it. So it doesn't justify why they don't want to test, because it's not because of the 14-day. We still got to test.
That's the only thing I could come up with, though.
Yeah, that's not the reason. I don't know. There's some other reasons that might start with some different adjectives.
I know. I told you guys. Senator Kim, what about category 1 and 2 people who were listed? I think this goes back to the unemployment retraining or whatever. I don't know what the heck this guy means. Senator Kim, what about the category 1 and 2 people that were listed?
What
Do you have
about
any
that?
idea? I think this came when we were talking about cross-training people to help out in the departments. Does that sound familiar to you?
Yeah,
Type
you know,
one, category 1 and 2 people?
we talked about category 1 and 2 because when we asked for category 3, the list that they gave us, now all of a sudden some of the departments say, no, they're not category 3, they're category 2, they're category 1. And then some of the category 1 people were then taken off their job and to go help DLIR, to help in the unemployment. So we're saying, why, if they're essential, why did you take them off? Because they volunteered to give up their job when it's essential. So is that job very essential? And if they're essential, are they in fact essential for the full 8 hours? Or are some of these workers can do some other things to free up other people that can go and do some work? So it's very complicated, but we're also telling that the department, DHER, now is the time to look at the job descriptions, look at the categories and see where in fact we can fix some of this so this doesn't happen in the future.
I wanted to add, the Senate, you guys started your committee for this, even after the quarantine started. And I think they've asked really good, tough questions, which maybe has been, impact on things moving, at least moving in any direction. Because you guys didn't have your committee at first, right? I think the House had ours established first, but you guys took it, and I want to give you guys thanks to.
Well, the reason,
questions.
Val, the reason we did that was we had a full-on meeting with the Department of Health before starting the committee, and we were appalled that they didn't have a plan. They didn't have a protocol plan. We kept saying, okay, are we at yellow? Are we at red? Are we at green? What level of
yeah
we at? And so if we have X amount of cases, does that take us to the next level? Let the people know that how grave this is. And they didn't have that. They had the Washington plan, but they didn't look at it. They weren't trying to incorporate it. So we felt, okay, we need somebody to bird dog this and somebody to oversee what's going on and ask the questions. And that's why we started the committee. But it started even before that with just a general meeting with Department of Health.
Well, thank you for.
I wanted to interject something right here, and I think this is for our viewers. What you folks are hearing is raw information that's coming from two noted individuals who are very passionate about what's happening right now. Because I see some of the comments coming across, and there's a lot of good comments in there. Not too many questions, but a lot of good comments. I want the people to know that whenever Mel gets guests on, it's for a reason. It's going to address something that you want to know about. And what I want to tell you folks, as well as we're talking about testing before, real quickly. It's fortunate that the hospitals here are not triaging the situation, because they're not left in a situation to kind of find out which is more important than others, especially with shortages of ventilators and all of that. I say that because, as you know, my brother passed away from the virus in New York. His girlfriend also had the virus, but the symptoms wasn't as pronounced as what he had. So that's why I'm very passionate about getting tested, because while she thought he had a cold, she says, well, I think I'm getting a cold too, not knowing that a couple of days later, he's calling me to tell me, brother, I contracted the virus. And that's on a Sunday, and Monday he's hospitalized. Then nearly a week later, he passes away. It was that fast. It moves that fast.
Oh,
so I think what the viewers need to understand is the sad thing for a family is that when you have a loved one that goes through this, you will not be able to see them. You will not be able to go up to the room and see them, not even through a glass, because it's so contagious. You're just going to have to see them when finally their body is cremated. You will not be allowed to have an open casket funeral. I don't think you folks realize that.
That's right.
So this is something very, very serious that we're talking about here. So I just wanted to mention that to all the viewers out there.
Okay,
Mel.
We get comments from people saying, every day I post a report up. As soon as the report comes out, I post it up on my Facebook page, and I get the same person posting 98% recovery rate. 98% recovery rate. 90, like clockwork, 98% recovery rate. Tell that to Charlie, who lost his brother.
Right.
Tell that to all of those families, those 9 families that are in this state that died. Tell the families that it's 98% recovery rate. Tell those people in New York. Our prosecutor, Justin Kohler, he was on our show last week. His stepmom and dad both have the virus in Pennsylvania. Go tell him about the recovery rate. And that's the frustration is, one death. How many deaths? I posted that one day. I said, hey, Governor, how many deaths before you decide to take some strong action?
That's what it's not a
This is
statistic.
passionate for
We're
me
not
as
just
well.
statistics. These are our loved ones. Yeah. It's not, we're not talking statistics. And I think that's how Don and I feel. We're not just talking numbers, these are people that we're trying to save lives. Yeah.
The other thing, this is not the flu.
Right.
I am getting so disgusted with people saying, oh, but look how many people died of the flu. This is COVID-19. This is not the flu. It's a virus. It's a coronavirus. There's other coronaviruses. We had the MERS, we had the SARS. They compare the number of deaths of the flu to the number of deaths to COVID-19. If you break down each different virus, we get over 131 different viruses, named viruses in the influenza A bracket alone. Yeah, if you break each one down and take the statistics, then you can compare it accurately with COVID-19. But to take COVID-19 numbers and compare it with all the viruses in the universe and say this is minor, like I said, go tell that to Charlie.
Yeah, you know what else? What else is disturbing? They keep saying, well, we're doing more tests than anybody else per capita. Hawaii has done more tests per capita than any other state. I mean, so what? Let's do more, right? If we're going to control it, we don't want to be like every other state. We want to do more. So I just want to add to the viewers, Charlie, to add to what you say is that, Val and I are saying stuff that maybe we shouldn't be saying. Maybe it's not politically correct. And that's why I try not to do these things, because I just can't help myself. I've just got to let the people know how bad things are. And politically, I don't know what's going to happen. But at this point in time, who cares? Because it's more important that we make sure that our people are safe and they know exactly what's going on, because you cannot believe what's going on behind the scenes. You would be amazed that we can survive.
Politically correct? Politically correct, Senator Mercado Kim?
I don't think I've ever been politically correct, right?
I told a story. Before you came on, and I don't know if you remember this. Had to have been about 10 or 12 years ago. Remember we did the HSAC luncheon? You remember tearing me a new okole?
No.
Remember? Yeah, you do this so often you forget who you do it to.
Oh my God. I'm never coming on your show again.
So I go into this luncheon, and at the time there was one of my colleagues had wrote a very disparaging op-ed about the legislature. It was about the GE tax. This was probably 10, 12 years ago. I show up as HSAC president, and you call me up to the front, and you tore me apart.
Not.
Yes. I actually have it on video. I'll post it tonight after this. I'll post it up. No, but you know what?
I will say she'll only fight if she feels it's right, though. She doesn't do it just to hurt people. She does it. She fights because she feels it's right. I know that about Donna.
But I had to tell her. I said, Senator, you cannot take the comments of a colleague of mine as representative of the entire council. That's all I could think about. I was like, holy moly, she's kicking my okole. But you know what? Senator Mercado Kim has been a friend of Kauai for a very, very long time. Representative Okimoto. I guess you passed
my in-laws lived on Kauai. You know that, right? I married a Kauai boy.
Yes.
So I spent a lot of time on Kauai. So
this worked out well because we got 2 people with Kauai roots. Amazing. It's just people are, oh man, how you can find these kind of people? Just ask. Just ask.
No, this is my first term. This is my first term, Mel. I think you're going to ask that. This is my first term in office.
No, I knew it's your first time. I'm wondering at what point, and you probably got to ask the senator, at what point do you lose the rookie status? Is it your first term? Are you a rookie, or you become a sophomore in your second year of your? I don't know how that thing works.
I'm not. I'll answer it. I'll answer it, Mel. You lose your rookie status when you come on air with Donna Mercado Kim and you just give them. That's when the rookie status went out the window.
Well, I hope the 2 of you will take the time to go back to this Facebook Live and read the comments, because there's a lot of good comments. I'll just read right now. Just pop. Thank you for your honesty. We really appreciate all both of you are doing. And that's the kinds of stuff that is showing up on
Yes.
this on the comments. You guys are
Oh, thank you.
amazing. And who's the little one? Who's the little one?
Oh, this is my first grader, Emma.
Oh,
What's her
Say hi.
What's her name?
Say hi to her Tutu and Grampy and Lihui. Say hi, Tutu and Grampy. My parents
What's
are
her name? What is her name?
Emma.
Emma. You know that you're on Facebook right now and you're being seen by thousands and thousands of people.
This one doesn't mind being home with my 12-year-old seventh grader doesn't enjoy that her mommy was a teacher and makes her do homework still. Even though she knows her
Oh my
teachers are
God.
collecting, I'm like, I don't care, do your homework.
I feel sorry for all the kids that are home right now that have parents.
Yeah,
as
it's a struggle.
teachers,
It's
as
not easy.
parents. Oh my God. Oh my
Not
Lord.
easy. Yeah, families are, it's affecting everybody. So we want to get back to normal as soon as possible.
Well, you know, my mom wasn't a teacher, but boy, she made me sit in the corner every day when I got mad. When I came home.
That must have been a lot, right?
And you
Let me
know,
also-
I almost ended up going to Farrington, but I ended up at Kamehameha. So thank God.
Oh, your son went there too, yeah, Donna.
So
Yeah.
upper
One more
campus.
question.
Yeah,
One more
upper
question.
campus.
One more question, and we'll wrap it up, and we'll let you guys say whatever you guys want to say. Not that you haven't, but rental cars. Is a state of the authority to shut down or disallow any future car rentals and force these people to be shuttled to the hotel if we cannot get these people isolated in a facility?
I don't see not.
I'm
You know,
sorry?
when the governor declared emergency state, and he could dispense with a lot of the laws because of that. So I don't see why not. If there's a will, there's a way.
That's why I appreciate Mayor Kawakami. You know, he shut down the TVRs, B&Bs. He shut all that stuff down. You cannot even advertise the TVRs or B&Bs on Kauai effective Sunday.
That's what we need. We
Yesterday,
need
I
that,
believe.
yeah.
So, you know, I mean, but that's what it takes. And, you know, so the rental cars is one way. If you know you cannot rent a car, it just discourages people. So
From
anyway,
coming.
thank you. Thank you, guys. We'll start with the senator. Any closing comments? Any closing comments that you want
Yes.
to?
Mel, thank you for inviting me. Thank you for being diligent to tune into our hearing so you know what's going on and we can let the rest of the community know what's going on. But I just want to say, you know, ever since I've been in elective office, I've always told people the reason why I'm so serious, the reason why I ask the tough questions is because we do serious work. It affects people's lives. The laws we pass or we don't pass affects people's paychecks and people's lives. And that means more today than ever. What we do will affect if people will live or die. And that's why I take it serious. I ask the tough questions and, you know, I hold people accountable because of that very thing. And we do it because, you know, we're concerned about the people. I wouldn't run for office if I didn't feel that I can help the community and make a difference. And I try to do that every day. And sometimes, you know, the closer you get to trying to solve the problem, you can't because it's not within your power or within our responsibility or authority. So we do the best we can, and we just appreciate everybody that's pulling together and appreciate you doing this. Thank you.
Well, keep doing what you're doing, Senator. I hope you know that you have an open invitation whenever, if you believe that there's some important information or changes that are happening in our state, please let me know. We'll get you on. I'll boot whoever is on. If you guys got to get on, not a problem. This is good information for our people. And by the looks of the comments, a lot of people are very appreciative of the two of you. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Representative Okimoto.
Yeah, I want to thank you
the
rookie. You know, when I many people ask what inspired me to run for this, and I will be honest. In 2018, this thought never even crossed my mind to run for office. But my parents, Dennis and Anita Aquino and Lihui, you know, they raised me a certain way, and my Kauai roots are deep, and I feel like, you know, now is the time we need. Whenever somebody tells me I'm a politician, no offense, but I will say I'm not your normal politician. I don't think that way. I think like somebody born and raised in the islands who cares about the community. And I know Donna and I are similar, very similar in that way. And so I may not, like Donna said, I may not always have the right answers or may not say things correctly, but I feel like when I ask questions, it's a common sense kind of thing. Like, why doesn't people see it this way? It makes sense to me this way. And maybe that will that will give me criticism sometimes, but I feel like if we had more people in office like that who are willing to, like Donna said, step up and take the chances to say things. We need people, you know, we're here, we're elected, you guys choose us, and we're here to represent you guys. That's what we're here for. And when I ran, it was to be that voice so that there wasn't a disconnect between the people in my community and somebody representing them at the state capitol. It shouldn't be that way. We should be very connected to the people that we represent. And this whole, you know, COVID-19 pandemic has just taken us by surprise, by storm, but it's our job now to step up. And I'm just so grateful that we can live in this beautiful place where we know that we'll come through. The people of Hawaii, we're fighters, we'll come through and we'll learn to work together. We'll find a way to work together to make this work. And I'm just grateful that I have this time. I don't know when I'll get past the rookie status, but I'll work hard, and hopefully with the help of, you know, everybody surrounding us in all the state, we can work together, because we have to come out of this. And Hawaii, we know that we'll come out, and we may not come out quickly, but just like Iniki years ago, we'll come out and we'll be fighting. I want to just thank you guys again. If anybody has questions, especially if it's a constituent of mine or anybody, Kauai person, they can contact my office. Our capital offices we're still working. I work remotely. My office, you know, we get all the emails and phone calls, so you can find me on the Capitol website, Rep Okimoto at capitol.hawaii.gov, or my phone number is on the website as well as Senator Kim's. But we just want you guys to know that we're here working for you guys. Senator Kim goes to the building more than I do. I can't go as much because I have 2 young kids, but I want to just thank, you know, my office staff for working so hard and making sure that I'm on top of things while we cannot go into the building on a daily basis. So thank you, and hi to the Kauai peeps.
Let me just say, Representative Okimoto, I've watched you on TV. I've watched you ask the tough questions. I saw you write that letter. So you're officially off the rookie list.
Oh yeah.
You came on Facebook Live with Charlie and Mel. That you're no longer a rookie. You carry yourself like a veteran. We appreciate you, and we thank you for all that you folks are doing. I mean,
thank you very, very much.
I know I've been a legislator for a lot of years, many years, and we've been through some battles. What you're going through right now, we've never went through. I've never been through. This is something that, you know, none of us will probably ever see in our lifetimes again. Hopefully we learn from this, but it's, you know, you guys gotta keep on doing what you folks, both of you, are doing. I love what I see in the legislature right now as it relates to COVID-19. We will get through this. We will, and we'll be stronger. The other thing too, Senator Mercado, you're a Democrat?
Yep.
Representative Okimoto, you're Republican?
I'm a Republican, I am.
So I don't want to hear no crap about this partisan garbage.
Oh, we love each other.
I get along very well.
We do.
They're the Capitol sisters, legislative sisters.
Strong women, strong America.
All right.
We're totally nonpartisan. Charlie and I are nonpartisan as it relates to this, what we're trying to do. I don't care what color you are. We got to get the information out to the people because they're not getting it.
Amen.
And this is the best way we know how. So,
and you know, if they need to get a hold of us, our email is our last name, Raposo or Iona at KCCC. That's Iona or Raposo at KCCC. We're locked up usually on weekends, so we don't get emails on the weekends. But the weekdays, we'll be out and we'll get it.
That's awesome.
And if you
also, and if you believe that, I get some swampland in Florida. I want to sell you after.
Both of our guests have Facebook pages, so you guys can catch them on that as well. All right. Okay, Charlie, you want to explain what we do?
Mahalo.
You guys never watched our show before.
Okay, we've always felt that if we're gonna flatten the curve, right? Okay. And when people don't want to listen, then we're gonna flatten the music until you got no choice but to flatten the curve with us. Okay.
And you
are you ready, Mel?
Hula maidens.
No, you got hula maidens.
You're gonna love this. You see, when we started, we figured, okay, we've been saying every night, we do this every night. We tell people, wash your hands, social distancing, and all of this stuff, and they don't listen. So we came across and we said, listen, we're gonna get the chief to deputize Charlie and I. We're gonna go out and catch you knuckleheads that are violating, and then you're gonna be forced to stay with us for 24 hours. That didn't work. So we came up with this method. If we cannot flatten the curve, Charlie, what are we gonna do?
We're gonna get you, and you're gonna spend 24 hours with Mel and Charlie, and you're gonna listen to our singing. Right?
Ready? 1, 2, 3.
Okay, here we go.
All right.
Aloha, everybody. Take
We
care.
flatten the curve every night. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you, Senator.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
Representative. Tomorrow night, Council Chair, City and County Council Chair of Honolulu, Ikaika Anderson, 7 o'clock, same place. We'll see you guys all later. God bless. Love you guys. Take care.
Hello, bye.
Aloha.
Aloha.